Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode here of On the Wire. Today, we're going to talk all about the future of crypto gaming. We have got, we've got some folks in the background here. As always, we've got CEO Ken and DiCross of Wire.Networks. And today, we've got Grayson Goldin from Play Dragonspawn, and we're going to talk about the future of crypto gaming. We're going to talk about why blockchain is necessary in the world of gaming, the values it brings, what's good about it, what's not, like the problems it creates. And just kind of what people are talking about in the industry as we go. Like we typically do, this will be an interactive conversation. So if you're in the comments, feel free to leave your comments. Let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to shout you out and just kind of know where this thing is reaching, whether you're watching today or in the future. What's up, Grayson? Any thoughts? We'll open it up with you. Any thoughts about just the conversation today? This is your first time on the stream. What's going through your head before we get started here?
Yeah, no, I'm just excited to be here. Excited to kind of talk about the industry as a whole. Personally, I think it's really in its infancy stages. I think a lot of us would agree that are actually building in the industry. I think over the next couple of years, we're really going to see a lot of new faces and new players in the space that are going to bring some pretty high-level games that are fun, that are going to probably disrupt Web 2 as we know it, and kind of bring a lot of eyes. And I think there will be a lot of onboarding coming up that we'll see. But yeah, I'm excited.
Nice. Ken, any thoughts before we get started here?
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. The past couple episodes we've been doing have been all infrastructure. Like we've been beating it over the head, the hardware, the interoperability, the blockchain, all this capability. And now we're finally getting into the front end, like what the retail, consumer is going to see, which is what are the capabilities? Like what are we building on Wire specifically? But also, I agree with Grayson that the gaming industry for blockchain is in its infancy. And you're going to see, like, just from what I know of people building in this space, 2023, 2024 is going to be the big coming out party where everyone has finally got ahead of their development and are able to push product live. And we're going to be one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think, I kind of feel that way in general, just what's happening here in the whole space. It's like this is the year of building, the year of kind of utility and finding real value in the space. So let's go into this outline here, the future of crypto gaming. We talked about that. So here's what the show is going to run through. An overview of the industry. We're going to talk specifically about the problems we face in crypto gaming. We'll talk a little bit about the benefits of the blockchain, and then we'll talk about what comes next in crypto gaming. And then next week, we're going to dive deeper into this whole ecosystem stuff, as Ken alluded to, about what you can build with Wire. And that's going to be a more general conversation. We're inviting folks from the ecosystem to come, and we're going to talk in depth about the different types of apps and things you can build inside of Wire. So let's get to it. Grayson, do you want to give us like a little snapshot of the industry right now? Do you want to just kind of what's going on in the space right now? Talk a little bit about just what's the buzz, what's the trend. I know people are like, yay, crypto gaming, no crypto gaming. So just kind of give me a snapshot right off the bat here.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like I said before, a lot of companies and projects are in development stages right now. Because getting into this space, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes into game building. I mean, art, the infrastructure, getting things correct, the testing. So I feel like a lot of the crypto games that we've seen so far might not necessarily have, really given people the right idea. I'm sure that there are some good ones out there. I mean, I played a little bit of Spider Tanks. I've been going on Splinterlands. I mean, I almost had a team playing Axie Infinity back in the day. But, right now I feel like everyone is kind of just trying to figure out where their niche is, whether that be retro style gaming, first person shooters, metaverse, open world. I feel like a lot of people, I talk about this a lot. A lot of people are into meme psychology. Like as humans, we always build on thoughts because it's hard for us to have our own original thoughts. So I think with the whole metaverse boom, everyone was like, oh yeah, all crypto gaming is going to be open world. So like, let's go build open worlds. And then everyone realizes, oh wait, this is going to take years. So wait, hold on. Let's see what else we can do with this technology. So I think everyone's just trying to kind of figure things out right now. I wouldn't necessarily judge all these companies or all these projects that are coming out on their first launch because you could kind of look at it as an MVP because it's kind of a race right now. Everyone's in build mode. And, like I said before, I think it's going to take like 1 or 2 years for some like big AAA game studios to catch up and for some real big hitting titles to be released to kind of disrupt that Web 2 and get eyes on us. But yeah, that's kind of like my interpretation of the space currently. There's definitely some fun games out there. And yeah, we're building here.
Well, it's interesting too to think about like, just gaming in general is kind of evolving and coming into its own right now. And crypto is kind of evolving and coming into its own right now. And we talked a little bit last time, I think, can you remember a little bit about convergence and how these things are these technologies are coming together, right? And you don't really know when those things happen, right? When like a new technology meets an emerging technology. I think gaming is the future of like storytelling and communication, and like so much of how we experience the world is going to like have a gaming element in it. And so people talk about like the future of gaming or the gaming is so big. It's like gaming is such a broad word, right? Like if you talk to my sister, for her, gaming is like board games and like all sorts of different things she does in one place. And if you talk to somebody else, gaming is like Call of Duty. It's what they do like, with their homies at night, on the weekends, whatever it is. And then some people play on their phones. Some people have whole systems. Like my buddy under his staircase has this whole like racing rig, and he plays like these long haul trucker games and like these VR games. And it's like, so gaming means so many different things for so many different people that and money is now such a big part of gaming that it's just a natural thing to see the new version of money trying to figure out how to step into this world as the world around us kind of fully digitizes. And so I think it's like, to me, I'm just interested to see how all these creative people are coming together, because you have like traditional game studios who are probably looking to bring crypto in. And then you have new crypto and tech companies that are trying to build things and like maybe going to be the new game studio coming up with interesting types of things. So I don't know, Ken, any thoughts there on the convergence, kind of just the state of the industry as we're, just getting started here?
Yeah, there's a lot of components that people may not think about on the surface layer that these big traditional gaming studios have to deal with if they're going to come into Web3. I think there are benefits across the board for these studios to get into blockchain gaming, but there are things that they have to overcome. I mean, number one is they have revenue models, right, in the traditional gaming. So they have to figure out, what is this tokenomic model? What is this game theory? Because now you're actually having in-game assets that are worth money, that are in a market, that are able to be bought and sold in a marketplace. That is not a component that they've had to deal with before. So now they have to say, okay, we're making game X, and this game, we are projecting that we're going to make, a certain amount of money at minimum off of this game. Okay, now if it comes into the blockchain space, now what's going to happen if maybe these pricing, these in-game models have to be reduced? They have to be less costly at the start, but we also have this mechanism where we're getting royalties off secondary marketplaces, and then there's just a whole new formula that needs to come into play to allow these gaming companies to come into this space. I think that is like something that they will figure out, and there is a benefit, but to take a step in and not have that perfected would be catastrophic for them. And I think that's why they're taking their time.
Yeah, it seems to me, and this is where we just talked about the overview of the industry. Let's jump into the problem, and this would be a nice little transition point, because it seems to me like that is kind of a major concern. If you're a big game studio and you've already got like all your revenue, like figured out, and you're killing it, like, you don't really want to disrupt the thing. You might want to like, see what all the buzz is about, and maybe you want to jump into an NFT project. But we talked about this the other day on a call, Ken, like a lot of these people are doing just little dipping their toes into dipping their toes into the water. They're just, let's bring a little Web3 around the edge of what we're doing. And I think where you probably see the big innovation is kind of the upstart studios, a little more scrappy, a little less bureaucracy, a little less, red tape, maybe from just lots of layers of management that are like looking out for the bottom line, and they're keep taking care of their major franchise games, et cetera. And so just like a lot of stuff in the space, I think you'll probably see some things come out of the edges. So let's talk a little bit about the problem with crypto and gaming right now, because there seems to be a negative, and then we'll go into like all the solutions. So let's lay out a little bit of the problem here, because people, lots of people, and this is the thing in general, like people are like, oh, we don't need crypto. We don't need that. We don't need this. So like, what are people saying right now? Because I have to imagine there's also lots of game studios that are just like, that's just a fad, or, like that technology is not necessary. Like people are in a lot of spaces. So, like what are people saying as the major holdbacks for the industry? Like what's slowing things down? Obviously, you talked a little bit about the big studios and their apprehension, but like, let's get into the weeds a little bit about like what the problems are, and then we can go back and we'll lay out some of the solutions.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that I've noticed, especially with just playing some crypto games, it's a little bit cumbersome. There's a lot of different hoops that you have to jump through in order just to even sign up, create an account. Sometimes you're going to have a MetaMask in order to log in. Imagine a non-crypto user trying to make a MetaMask and then trying to connect it to the website and then figuring out, oh, well, I got to send this type of gas fee for this transaction. And wait, how do I even get this crypto? I don't have anything on my MetaMask. It's just cumbersome right now. And also the tokenomic structures that are being built, I think, for these ecosystems have not been entirely thought out. I mean, that's a main aspect of crypto gaming is the economic fundamentals that have to be laid out ahead of time in order for them to achieve long-term success and have that longevity for years to come. And I feel like, it's exciting in this space. A lot of people like to build quickly. I mean, you hear all the time that, 1 week in crypto is like, 1 day in real life, or a month is like 2 days. And that's true. So I think a lot of people were like, let's get these games out. Let's, okay, tokenomics. Okay. Yeah. Unlimited supply. And, you earn 10 of these tokens if you do this activity, but they didn't really think about the implications that would occur down the road. Like, oh, wait, now we didn't necessarily balance the distribution correctly. So I see those two major things being kind of an issue right now in the space. And then kind of just the hoop jumping is difficult because if you want mass adoption, right, which is everyone's goal, you need to make it easy and seamless. So that's, why we're excited to be working with Wire, because that's something that they have in the forefront. That's what they're really thinking about doing. So it's awesome.
Yeah. Swamp Daddy here. Ease of getting into the game is key. He's saying it also feels weird to be on the audience side. Swamp Daddy is Kyle, our CTO here, so he's watching from the audience today. But yeah, talking back your point there, it seems like that's kind of the big problem with crypto in general, is just getting into crypto, right? Like the whole process of setting up a wallet and figuring out how to transfer assets, and like maybe some of us who've been doing this for a while, we don't get like nervous anymore when you put your wallet address into a thing and you send the tokens to a place.
I still do.
But your first time doing that, you're like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like what? Where is this going? And some of the apps feel a little janky, even though they work, and like things are just, it's just like so early, it's rough around the edges. And when you're talking about gaming, like people don't want to think technical when they're gaming, right? People don't want to like, they're not working. They want to just,
they just want to have fun.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if there's hurdles, like the more hurdles there are for them getting to the place where like, oh, this looks like a cool game, let me try to play it. If there's like a lot of steps between that and the actual playing of the game, it's never going to work. They're going to go do something else that's much easier. And so I think the gaming will follow a lot of the other utilities because there is such a barrier to entry, and it's just your general layperson. There's so many incentives on the technical side to like get into crypto, but on the gaming side, you just want to play. So go ahead, Ken, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I can frame that. I mean, the way the Wire goes about anything on the infrastructure side to allow gaming to happen is we look at what's working in the traditional market. And so what you have is you have these, you can buy an Xbox, right? And then it used to be you have to buy the game cartridge or the CD or whatever it is to insert into the box, and then you play. Now you can just buy it straight off your screen. You don't even need like a physical, like a game cartridge or anything like that to play. And then what do? You attach your credit card, you put in a username, and then you're off to the races. Like, that is why, you hear about these gamers that don't like blockchain gaming. That's why. If you tell them, hey, like that sword that you just picked up, yeah, you can go sell that for $100 and you couldn't do that before. Who's not going to like that? Like, that's not the problem. That's not what they don't like. They don't like everything else that comes with it. They don't like the quality of the game, and they don't like the cumbersomeness of getting into, like, adding the wallet, everything that Grayson talks about. You solve those problems, and then you go, hey, that sword, go sell it for $100 instantly. They're gonna fall in love with blockchain gaming. We just have to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got a question from Linda here in the audience saying, what genres of crypto games would you see being most successful on Wire? So can we talk a little bit about the types of games that might be good? Because what we want to do next is, we just talked about the problems a little bit, and maybe we'll wrap up that segment as we talk about the benefits. So we'll use Linda's question here as kind of a transition. What types of games? And Grayson, I don't know if you want to take the first swing at this, but since you're building a game, but like, what do you see as the types of games that would be most successful? And then Ken, maybe you can talk at a higher level about, like, the other ecosystem that we're trying to.
Yeah, sure. I'll do a little bit of shilling here for Dragon Spawn. Well, at least my idea for what will be the most successful, given the certain time frame that we're in with the infancy stages. I identified retro arcade style gaming, and Dragon Spawn pivoted and is going full force into retro arcade style blockchain gaming. You can see behind Ken, there's a little bit of our alpha for Flappy Dragon. Currently, we're in the final stages of development with Bitcoin tokenomics implementation, and then we're going to be getting that released on the iOS and Android store. So we're really excited for that, guys. So basically, my idea was, gamers only care about having fun, right? They're playing the game to have fun. So as long as we have progression-based, addicting style games that are fun, I think they're going to be highly successful on Wire, because, we get to use all the good parts of Wire, the high transaction speed, UPAP that's coming out. And, honestly, any type of game can be successful as long as it's thought out well and it has a good foundation for the economy to be fruitful long term. So at Dragon Spawn, we're focusing on this initial retro arcade style gaming that we can get out, that has, built-in functionality to keep people coming back every single day. We have an NFT project that's going to be released and act as a modifier for token distribution. So basically, any games that we release, we're going to have NFTs alongside. That's how I believe NFTs will be used in gaming as well. They're going to act as enhancers, boosters, making people be more efficient on the game. So like I said, I think a lot of different types of games will be successful on Wire. It's kind of just like, are they going to be due diligent enough to build the strong foundation that these crypto games require to be successful long term?
Yeah, Ken, any thoughts there?
Yeah. So what genre of crypto games? I think it's going to be all of them. What Grayson is doing at Dragon Spawn with arcade style. You look at your mobile games. They aren't the most labor intensive. You can just play them. Without even, some of them are mindless games, right? You're clicking and you're having a great time. It could be Candy Crush. It could be
tower defense,
tower defense games, things of that nature. Like, those are fun, and you play them for hours and hours and hours. And so I think that is where blockchain gaming should go to start with. We've already seen the open worlds. You've had the Decentralands, the sandboxes. They're trying to do open world, but no one's really participating. And I like Decentraland. Like, I was a big, I owned a lot of land early on, and same thing with Sandbox. But it takes a lot of time, and there's other aspects that make or break whether that's successful or not. Just not what the world looks like. And so with Wire coming in, like, what kind of games can be built and are going to be successful on Wire? It's going to be everything from AAA games all the way down to, mobile arcade games. Like, we're going to be able to power it. Like, our blockchain is 112,000 TPS. So we can have on-chain gaming, across the board, whether it be a AAA game that we may have to retrofit blockchain into, like maybe it's like a Web 2 game that is already out and they want to blockchainize it. Like, well, that's where we can come in and make that happen with our high throughput. Or it could be mobile games where it just has great tokenomic structure. Grayson at Dragon Spawn is doing Bitcoin tokenomics, with difficulty adjustments as you go along. Those are all great examples of things that can, that we can do at Wire. And I think that there's going to be this, what I call, come to Jesus moment, where the entire space that's gaming specifically realizes that they might have been built on the wrong chain, a chain that they first got on because of maybe low cost or things of that nature, but their game does not perform the way that they need it to. And they're going to come looking for the right chain to be able to have a game experience that their users will enjoy. And that's going to be Wire.
Yeah. Interesting. I want to bring up this question from, I think you say Araguth. Tricky thing to balance is the pay to win perspective that so many typical gamers, especially in games with PvP elements, feel very strongly about. And he follows up, it's awesome to be able to sell an item for $100, but a lot of Web 2 gamers would look at that as being an issue because new players would be able to buy that without any effort. So there's this whole and I get this in the gaming culture where it's like, hey, if you play and you rack up a certain number of things, there's like some skill and there's some experience that comes with like earning these things. And if someone can just buy that clout and status, then that may be seen as an actual negative. So that's a good point. Grayson, I see you get a little excited there. What are you thinking?
Yeah, well, I'm just saying then that looks like an easy chance for transfer of wealth. If a noob now has $100 sword in the game, he's probably not going to keep it for that long. If there's PvP involved, he's probably going to lose it. So as long as I think that there's like the communication aspect.
Explain that to a game noob like me. Does that mean like you could lose the sword during the game? Like if you...
Yeah, like he's going to go and use that sword in PvP. He could potentially lose that sword if, the item is dropped then. So
and PvP is player versus player or what?
Player versus player, okay. Correct. So
I'm just trying to help out any lay people in the audience, aka this guy. I'm not a gamer.
Yeah, no, I mean, in like World of Warcraft or RuneScape or any of those games that, it was kind of like illegal to purchase in-game currency on the side. It was so easy to identify the non-PvP people that actually just use their mom's credit card to go and buy these weapons or this armor. So then you would want to fight them because it's an easy kill. So I don't know. I don't see a problem with that, but I do think a lot of gamers are like, they look down upon it. But as long as there's a PvP element, it'll balance itself out. It's natural selection.
Okay. Well, let's be clear. Even in Web 2 gaming, there's accounts being sold.
Yeah.
So that's not like this new thing that's come that Web 3 allows. Yeah, it's illegal and frowned upon, but it happens every day in Web 2 gaming. So there, at least in this aspect, it's going to be above board and transparent.
Exactly.
Rather than behind the scenes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So I like that. Let's talk a little bit then about the inherent benefits, right? We laid out the problems. We talked a little bit about, I guess we talked a little bit about that. That's kind of what brought this up here. Any other kind of thoughts in this space here? Any other major benefits other than just kind of getting to carry the assets with you? Obviously, I could see all sorts of funky games taking place. Like we were talking about yesterday, Grayson, about like potentially even NFTs becoming games, and like maybe crypto gaming is not always going to be this thing that like is the same kind of game we think now, right? Like who knows if these games become blended where now you're mixing experiences and there's some time-based things and like some Easter eggs where you have to go find a specific person and there's like hidden interactions. I could just see all sorts of things blending in this space that like equal things in the gaming world, or stuff that
Oh
people
yeah.
might consider a game, right? Think about like Pokemon Go, and how that kind of blended the real world with the gaming world, and it got people out. And like, I still see people doing the little shoo-whoop on their phone, you know, like walking around doing like whatever they do on that game. And so I just see like gaming and tech and these experiences kind of evolving so much. I'm not sure if we can kind of buckle down all of the benefits that are coming from doing this stuff, or maybe even all the problems, right? Because who
Yeah.
knows if this creates more people who are addicted to games, and Ready Player One is like, maybe now
Yeah,
it's like
right.
real world currency inside the game, and I don't know, right? It's like,
I was just about to say Ready Player One vibes. Because one of the major benefits that Ken and I agree on is like giving players ownership over their in-game assets. Because right now there's a monopoly that the game companies have over their users. They're literally, which is fine. Gamers are playing games to have fun. The product that the game companies are providing is fun. So players are willing to spend money, but then they can't necessarily exchange those hours or all that hard work that they put into the game for anything else, really. Like, you know what I mean? So like with Dragon Spawn, not to shill again, I'm sorry, or any other crypto game, like, right, hint hint, say you put a bunch of hours into game one, maybe those hours can contribute to progress or a little bit of an advantage in game two, down the road. So I think crypto gaming kind of we're building a new infrastructure or databases that are capable of storing information over multiple game states that, before we didn't really think about because we didn't know that this tech was even possible. So I think that there will be a lot of new things, like you said, Raymmar, that we don't know are going to come from gaming, but there's a lot of cool things that can be developed. But basically it's giving power to the player a little bit more, I'd say.
Yeah, there's three things that I'll get through in short order that I want to touch upon before we move on to the next topic. Number one is, what does blockchain help out? It helps out transparency. So what you're going to have, well, let's go to this first. When we're talking about gaming and like that sword aspect where you could sell it for $100, blockchain can have customization, which is that maybe everything that's in game that affects the outcome of the game, maybe that is not an NFT. Maybe it's only the skins inside of the game that can be an NFT and be sold across. Like, there's things that you can do inside of the game mechanics that it can be on chain. It can be full on chain gaming, but you aren't giving access to be able to sell a particular item that changes the outcome. So there's that. Also with transparency, even in Web2 gaming, like you have hackers who are able to manipulate the game state and then potentially change the outcome. What we're able to do is we can have on-chain validation, where if we see that the game state has been manipulated that changes the outcome, we can penalize and remove rewards for an altered game state. So there's things like that are going to actually make the games more fair, because we can actually see things happening in real time and be able to stop it.
Yeah, that's interesting to think about. And I mean, like, players gonna play, right? Game's gonna game, and I think the ecosystem's gonna game too, right? Like, it seems like, just in general, right? You think about like SEO and Google and their search algorithms, right? And then you have all these people trying to get to the top of the search algorithms. It's become a game, right? Creating content on the internet has kind of become a game at a certain level. I was reading an article the other day about, like, is search dead with ChatGPT and some of the ways that we're accessing information. And so it's this constant battle between like the technology itself and how the audience wants to use the technology. And I think that's going to continue to be the case in blockchain, in gaming, in any of this stuff. The technology is going to evolve, and then people are going to see opportunities to use that technology to do something, and they're going to explore, and they're going to tinker, and they're going to push around the edges of it. And some of them will be successful, some of them will fail, and that's how we learn. That's how we find innovation. And I think that a lot of times, especially inside of the gaming place, where you get people who are coming and having more carefree experiences, they're just playing, and maybe even the people who are building, because the people who are building games typically enjoy games themselves. So I don't know. It's there seems to be tons of benefits just in blockchain all around, but sprinkled in throughout the gaming, it creates a very dynamic possibility here that I'll be excited to see how it plays out over the next few years.
Yeah. Well, I gave you two. My third is the interoperability aspect, which is, and this is something very specific to Wire. So with UPAP, our interoperability protocol, it's not just things that are built on Wire. It's things that are it's games and NFTs that are already out there on Polygon, on Solana, on Ethereum. You're able to take those, assets across to other metaverses, to other games, to other chains, and have that interaction. And that's something that, is a breakthrough for Wire.Network that we're going to be, delivering, to the entire blockchain space. So that when you kind of have those giant leaps in innovations, you're going to have the entire community, all these developers from all chains, utilizing that to their own benefit. And so you're going to see, where you can take a Bored Ape and you can take it over into a Solana, a Solana blockchain game and be able to just insert it and then, have special abilities over there. So there's going to be huge benefits coming down the line. That's something that just hasn't been even a capability in the space that we're going to be delivering on.
Yeah, and that's maybe a good transition here into what the next topic is, which is what comes next. And maybe we can just spend a little bit of time thinking about, like, what does this empower? What do we expect to see? I think the next slide here, and Grayson, you were talking a little bit about this. We can certainly expect a strong emphasis on mobile gaming. September, DApp Radar reported that hyper-casual mobile blockchain games brought more than 1.7 million users from Web 2 into Web 3. So although, like gaming and different, I think this could be the tip of the spear for crypto, right? Like you could see this bring a lot of people into the world of crypto that have no real interest otherwise getting into the space. And that's what could be interesting to me about what kind of comes next. Grayson, you were talking about, you shared some video. We won't play the video because it was, a few minutes long, but you shared a video that talked a little bit about another studio going, all in on mobile gaming and that kind of being the future. We obviously all have, our little devices here, and that's kind of like the first entry point for a lot of people is like, something to waste some time while you're sitting in line or doing something else. So like, how does this evolve? Like, let's kind of connect some of the dots we've been talking about here and see if we can just kind of, predict out over the next few years a little bit what you might expect to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. The global gaming industry is worth, over $300 billion right now. And just over $100 billion of that is strictly dedicated to mobile gaming, right? And Ken and I were talking a little bit earlier about how, development is probably a little bit premature currently. We are in the infancy stages. So there's not necessarily a need to rush and push out underdeveloped content into this open world or try to act like a AAA game at first. So I think the mobile gaming market is the perfect spot to introduce, Web 2 users to a blockchain stack with a game. So that's kind of why I think all these big companies are waking up. Like you said earlier, Gala Games was the name of the company that just pivoted to mobile. They acquired Everbright, I think, Studios, and they have like 15 games that are going to be coming out. All mobile that are going to be blockchain. So I'm interested to see their economic, tokenomic infrastructure that they're going to be deploying. But I just think it's a no-brainer to go mobile for these crypto games right now because, lower level latency games can be released on iPhones. And like you said, we're not sitting down to play a 2-hour game session on our iPhone. We're at the airport and I'm going to go play Flappy Dragon. I'm going to go play Candy Crush, like 5-minute gameplay. That's what you need. And then, that's all you need, right? I feel like everyone has a smartphone in their hand. Not everyone is a quick giant computer with 2 monitors and, the best Wi-Fi connection, right? But a lot of people do have these smartphones in their hands. So I think it's kind of a no-brainer to start building blockchain games on app stores and releasing them, to iPhone, Android, you name it.
Yeah, and I wonder how many of these games are going to become overlay experiences to the real world, right? Like
Mm.
you talk about, you just see the convergence of this tech and you think about like mobile gaming. Well, all that means is the processing is happening on your mobile device. But if you had a pair of glasses in front of you, like could random parts of your daily life then be gamified by some of these companies as you just explore the world? And again, that's where I think, where do these technologies blend? That's like what I'm going to keep coming back to. It's like gaming is an entry point into just kind of like letting your mind loose and storytelling, and the digital world is this place where we're spending more and more of our time as we go. And so like how do those worlds connect? Think about like the advent of social media, Twitter and Facebook and these apps. Like their developers went back to like slot machines. How do you make these things addictive, right? How do you
Mm.
bring game mechanics into social media? And so if you don't think like that these games are just going to like start leaking into just average things, general things that we do, that's where I think, when you talk about like what comes next, I want to see and know and think about like how do these games just permeate throughout, and we almost just drop the distinguish from like, because there's a lot of things that we do as humans as play, but I don't tell people like I'm playing when I do it. Like I just go do it, like I'm just kind of, and I'm enjoying myself. I'm having fun in a thing that maybe you wouldn't traditionally consider fun, or so I don't know. Like those, I think the lines are going to be very blurry as we move forward. That would be my like what's next prediction.
Yeah, I agree. I think that just don't look at it as gaming. I would look at it as a retail experience. There's going to be shopping and entertainment and gaming, and you're going to have all of those inside of one instance, where it's all happening at once. Like you could be playing a game and buying, you know, uh, a shirt at a retail, like at a virtual Macy's or a Nike or something like that, and that could be actually part of the reward system instead of the instance. There's a lot that's going to happen, but I I look at it as, what's the entry point for gaming? You have I look at it as the real world. When I'm working and I want some background music or something on the background just to kind of you know be able to look up every once in a while, like I'll throw on The Office, like the TV show. Why do I do that? It's because I never have to follow the storyline, right? Like I can just look up no matter what's happening. I can get a quick laugh if something like, if there's a funny joke, and then I can go back. I'm not trying to watch the Marvel universe starting from the Hulk, and watching, 20 hours of movies. You have to set yourself up for that. So that's how I look at gaming. It's like, if you're out and about and you're playing mobile games, that's kind of like the Office, where you don't need the storyline to follow. You don't need to know where you are at in the game. You just play it, have enjoyment, and then you go back. And if you want that Marvel experience, you set yourself up for that. Like that's your storyline game that you end up playing.
Yeah.
And those same psychological mechanics that happen in the real world are the same things that these game studios are utilizing.
Yeah, and just like you might expect to go see a Marvel movie in the theater because of the sound effects and the visual effects and et cetera, aka you might want to play that game on a PlayStation at home on a big screen versus like some simpler game that, like you said, the expectation's smaller, like you're going to just do it on your mobile device. Luke brings up a very good point here in the comments. What's up, Luke? Shout out to Mandox in the house. Living in a third world country, computers are almost non-existent, but lots of young people have access to cheaper smartphones, and a lot will download games that are free for entertainment. So as we jump into, like this next phase, like you think about emerging markets, you think about how many people are mobile first. We see that trend kind of in tech in general. So yeah, obviously, why would it not fit into the gaming world? And it seems, like lots of people are looking for distractions. Like the world's kind of a wild place right now. So I could see wanting to just like distract yourself a little bit sometimes,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. Grayson, you did you sent me just a link. I don't know if we put that in the description, but I think we might have. We have the dragon spawn, and I think I was just on it. Where is it? Yeah, let's go here. How do I back out of that game?
While you're doing that, I'll give you another example of how I look at the space. So there was a game last year that was on Solana that is a AAA game, It's called Star Atlas.
Mm.
There's going to be this open world universe, just the most robust game, you could possibly think of. And so they did well with their NFT launch, all this stuff. And then, people started asking, well, when is this game going to come to full fruition? And they go, it's going to take about 8 years. And I mean, that's
an honest answer.
It's an honest answer, because that's how long it takes a AAA game to come to fruition, especially when it's going to be a blockchain game. Like, you need the technology to get to a certain level, plus you have to build the game. There's a lot that goes into it. And so what did they have to do? They started out, like, they rolled back and started doing mini games, which is essentially like the reverse way of doing it. Like, the way that Grayson's going about it at Dragonspawn is start with the mini arcade games first, and then maybe as the community grows and there's this robust ecosystem, maybe it does roll into an open world. But to just go out there and say, I'm going to create a AAA game, like, no one has the attention span to stick with something 8 years until it gets there, especially when you're dealing with assets that have monetary value. Like, obviously they're going to plummet if someone's going to wait 8 years. So I think there's just a procedure that needs to happen in the blockchain space. You need to start small, do it very well. These small mini games, mobile style games, and then get to the bigger picture. Like, this we're in its infancy, like we've said a few times. Like, it needs time to develop.
Yeah. I was just looking at some of that Star Atlas gameplay footage, and
it
right,
looks good.
Yeah, of course, right? Like, you're just building a whole virtual world. That's the same thing, but you even saw that in Web 2, right? With like, what was the name of that big virtual worlds? It was like Night Sky or something like that. It was like this, it was like going to be all the craze, this game, and then it took forever and ever to come out, and then when it came out, it was like, it was like kind of a flop, and I've seen a lot of that with like these big procedurally generated games. So it's like, it's so complex, and people forget that, like, this is tech. We've already kind of gone through an iteration of tech and growth, and like what apps look like in just the regular tech world, in the smartphone adoption world, and like how apps develop and evolve. And so, like, this lean, agile process is not something you just throw out because, hey, tech is there. You still have to have the tech, and also you have to do the crypto thing. So it's like, you got to be competent at all the tech, and also you have to, like, then add this whole other layer of technical complexity that, from a development standpoint, just swamp down.
Ken, you can
can
execute perfectly and still not succeed. Like, there's no guarantee that you build a game for 5, 6, 7 years and that you're going to get 1 million users playing it. Like, it could just, it could be out of style. There could be something else that has everyone's attention, so they don't even want to, find like the next game to play with. There's so much risk into going big early on. The most potential from a user's perspective, because they just want to have fun, and from a game studio developing a game, is the small quick hits, get a couple singles under your belt, and see what the appetite is and what the timeline is to go a little bit bigger and just start building your way up.
Yeah. No Man's Sky, I think, is the one that I was referring to, this game. It was that No Man's Sky. It was like, and it's out now. I think they eventually did it. But it was like, let's look at their release log. Let's see how far back it goes. But like, I think this thing goes forever, because this was like such a big hype in like 2016. It was
my gosh.
It was like one of those things where it was like, let's see, I don't even know if it goes out. Let's see if there's a date. If I click read more, it's not going to show me a date, is it? No. But I was looking at the Wikipedia here, and it was like in 2016. And like, they were just talking about forever this thing was going to come, and the graphics ended up being beautiful, but it just wasn't like that much of a game. It's like, we're still just kind of discovering these procedurally generated worlds. I think this is, just now in the last few years where it's gotten stable. You see like, in the last 2 years, like Grand Theft Auto and some of these other bigger franchises have these procedurally generated worlds. And so at some point, again, I think we're just building a simulation, y'all. We're just like 100 years out from recreating, all of humanity inside of a simulation. So whatever.
No. And I actually think that there's going to be, like I said, there's going to be this moment where the games that are even out there now, or that are being built, there's going to be a moment where they realize that no one wants to click the wallet signature button, when they're trying to deal with blockchain, games and assets. Like, there's things that Wire.Network has built in a protocol level that's going to be very enticing to these games that need a leg up, that need the advantage, that need to be played like a Web 2 game where you can't even tell that you're on the blockchain, all the way from the user registration experience all the way into the game. That I don't know of another blockchain company besides us that has that full stack that allows you to play a game and not even realize that it's a blockchain game. And I think that there's going to be this moment where maybe it's Dragon Spawn's release, where people start playing this game and they realize like just how smooth it is and all the experience that comes with that. And that's going to be the shift that's needed in crypto gaming, where it's like, this is the expectation that I'm setting for my game that I'm building, and then I'm going to go look at what blockchain is able to execute on those requirements for me. And once we get there and everyone's building on Wire, I think Wire is going to be like the spark that allows like real adoption in blockchain gaming. We just have to get there.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of we talked about this before. It's kind of the trend in the whole space, whether it's gaming, whether it's general tech, whether it's just the technology kind of has to disappear. Nobody cares.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, people just want to play a good game. They don't care if it's a crypto game. They don't care if it's a whatever game. They just want to play a good game, right? Same thing with a website. They just want to go to the website and do the thing. I don't care what's running underneath it. I don't care if it's built in JavaScript or Ruby on Rails or whatever the language is that sits underneath the tech stack. I don't care. As an end user, I just want it. Does it do the thing? Like when I click the button, does it let me do the thing? Can I buy this thing? Whatever the experience is, does it work? And I think gaming has a really high barrier to that, because anything that detracts from the game experience is just not necessary. And if you're a game studio, you focus wholly on that game experience, and you strip anything out that detracts from that. So it's just going back to what you were just saying, Ken, like the technology is just now getting to the point where that experience can start to be a little seamless. And game on. All puns intended. Star Citizen, Linda saying, was another major failure. I didn't know about that one, but and it looks like apparently they were saying they turned it around, No Man's Sky. So didn't want to throw any shade on No Man's Sky there. I was super hyped. I actually ended up watching a friend of mine play that sometimes, and I'd go over to his house and he's like watching other people play on YouTube. I'm just like, or Twitch or whatever it was. The visuals were great. And that's the thing I think too, like the story-driven nature of this, they're going to become so immersive. I don't know. The future of gaming, so much.
Yeah, there are a lot of options, and I think there's going to be a lot of, like I said, a lot of new games that come out over the next 1 to 2 years that are kind of going to not disrupt, but definitely get some attention from these Web 2 gamers that are like, I hate crypto gaming.
Yeah, you fast forward, let's say 5 years from now, we're not going to even be putting these two words together, blockchain gaming. It's just going to be gaming. Like you said, Raymmar, you're the only reason that you identify what it is now. I go back to like 2017. This is what I talk about, when I'm talking to VCs is, the big craze was we're going to create the X on the blockchain. We're going to create the Twitter on the blockchain. We're going to create, whatever it was, the Uber on the blockchain. The reason that we had to say that was because it was like, okay, you had to let everybody know that it's going to be on the blockchain. Like, you're going to have to deal with some shit. It's not going to be this smooth experience. That's going to go away.
Yeah.
Like now it's just going to be gaming, and you have to decide whether it's going to be gaming that has assets that have value and that can have a marketplace, or if it's going to be this closed system. The blockchain side is just going to go away.
Yeah.
And we're there. I give it 5 years. We have the capability of doing it today. I think it's just going to take that long for some of these bigger, what I would call AAA games, to come into the space and feel comfortable, being on a blockchain and having that game experience. But that's going to happen. It's coming soon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's probably a good transition to just, I lost my train of thought here as I'm trying to think of going through. Okay, so Web3, people talk about it in the world of crypto, and they talk about like the old web being Web 2, but like if you think about it, like most people don't care. Like up until crypto, nobody was running around talking about the internet like Web 2. Like it's contextually, it's kind of like this delineator that we use to kind of talk about like a static web versus an interactive web versus a user-owned web, and like those are kind of the layers of Web 1, 2, 3, etc. But like at the end of the day, it's just going to be the internet.
Mm-hmm.
It's like people making a distinction between like TV and cable and YouTube. Doesn't matter, dog. It's video on a screen, right? So like at the end of the day, we're talking about video on a screen, and then it's a battle for attention to figure out, will other people watch it? So here, like we're not talking about Web 1, Web 2, Web 3, or Web 6, or whatever the hell comes after. We're talking about the internet, right? We're talking about technology and the way we interact and the way we communicate, and all these things kind of just coming together in interesting ways. And like you said, Ken, as those things disappear, as this stuff kind of fades away, you'll hear less and less people talking about crypto gaming and blockchain in my game, and it will just be, I'm gaming.
A game on a screen.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's a game on a screen.
That's the goal. That's what mass adoption looks like. I mean, like you said, Raymmar, the user doesn't need to know the tech stack behind the product that you're looking at or using.
Yeah. Okay, so with that, let's, if you're interested, Dragon Spawn, if you're interested in learning more about what Grayson's up to or the Dragon Spawn ecosystem, you can check that out. The links are in the description. I think we have links to the Twitter, to the Dragon Spawn website. There's one other link in there too. I think so, some documentation or something like that. Yeah, if you got any questions, reach out to Play Dragon Spawn on Twitter there. Next week, we're going to continue this conversation talking about what you can build with Wire. So, gaming is one of the things we're building, but we're going to talk a little bit about what other things this type of interoperability on a blockchain can empower. And yeah, I think that will kind of round out our opening series of content here to kind of lay the foundation, right? We've kind of explained what we're up to. We've talked about the interoperability. Here, we're talking about gaming, and next week we'll talk about the entire ecosystem. So I don't know, we're going to get into a new string of things after we've got this foundation laid, but that'll be a good opportunity for us to just point people back to these things as we need them, as we go and explore the ecosystem. So Ken, any closing thoughts on, on gaming or just in general?
Well, for gaming, we'll talk about Dragon Spawn here.
Yeah.
Since it's built on Wire, this game the alpha has been out, that you can play it on your mobile device.
And
I'm
desktop.
I'm going to steal your thunder a little bit, Grayson. Is
Go ahead.
the iOS and Android app is coming very quickly, and maybe Grayson can speak on that. But we already have people that are playing. So I'm just looking it up right now. The top person has played this 126 hours.
If you're watching me play terribly. I'm so bad at this game.
But there's hundreds and hundreds of collective hours of gameplay that's happening just in this alpha. I think once it gets released on iOS and Android, just the game experience, and then all the other benefits of blockchain are going to shine through. And I think this is going to kick off, the true blockchain game experience that we're going to see for years to come.
Yeah, and I'm gonna stop.
Raymmar,
I'm so bad at this type of game.
But it's fine. Keep playing, Raymmar. I'll talk.
I'm gonna blame it on the Bluetooth connection. It's a slow Bluetooth connection. No, what I was gonna say is I don't remember what I was gonna say. I lost it there on my terrible gaming skills.
That's okay. I was just going to touch on how within the alpha, that is the alpha, we added a lot more functionality to the game to add that progression mentality to make it more addicting. You guys will see soon that there's an energy bar that's been added. So you're not able to play unlimited times and keep collecting tokens, right? So if your energy bar is empty, it's going to highly affect your token distribution, right? So then you can go in and purchase an elixir or some super or ultra elixirs that will double or triple coin collection. You can buy skins, which will act as NFTs. And then there will be also like a form of gambling where you can go and open up a chest. Like say you didn't want to spend like $1 or $2, you spend your tokens that you win in the game. There's going to be a global leaderboard. We'll have daily, monthly tournaments as well as other types of leaderboards. Then maybe the NFT drop will have an effect on the game. I gave a little bit of a hint to that earlier. But yeah, just know that the alpha has a lot less functionality that's going to be introduced in the iOS and the upcoming mobile app. So you guys are in for a treat. A lot of work has gone into this. I can promise you that.
I'm being riffed on for my slow.
Look at Linda.
Linda's bringing the heat. Yeah.
Slow Bluetooth.
What about mega giga hyper elixirs? I think that's in phase 2. The other thing is people kind of seeing this stuff and maybe thinking like, oh, it's a simple game. The other thing is that it's all on chain. So this is just representing the ability to like do all of these different things and keep a game state on chain kind of in real time. So yeah, it's exciting to come. I'm not really gonna keep trying very hard.
Well, I'm gonna jump in and tee you up, Grayson, because obviously I'm in the background here helping on the infrastructure side. What happens? I'm gonna be Raymmar for a second. I'll be the moderator here. Grayson, what happens? What's your roadmap after Dragon Spawn's release?
Yeah, so we're gonna be scaling Dragon Spawn. Flappy Dragon, we're gonna add multiple new updates to the game over the first 90 days, 6 months, but we're immediately going to be going into game development of game number 2. Obviously we're gonna be listening heavily to our community. We have a lot of different options for game number 2. We've recently partnered with a game development studio, so we're really excited to start working with them. I've been meeting with them pretty much weekly, just thinking about what is possible, and it doesn't really seem like there's a lot that they can't do. So that's very exciting. But yeah, just know that we'll be releasing another game into the Dragon Spawn ecosystem, probably within the first 6 to 9 months after Flappy Dragon official release. And then, like I said, we already have a lot of IP built for the open world, but the main idea for Dragon Spawn is to have a world of multiple games kind of living within the same ecosystem. The goal would be to have 10, 15, 20, 100 games, who knows, in 10 years, all operating under the same Dragon Spawn umbrella. So there'll be games for everyone, right? Not everyone's going to like Flappy Dragon, right? Who wants to go play a little bouncy game? They might get frustrated, but there's going to be a game for everyone in this world that is Dragon Spawn. So we're really excited to be doing that. So it's going to be really fun, and it's going to be a grind. So
nice. The crypto casino will use Wire.
Mm-hmm.
I can't actually think of applications, Wire systems that are seamlessly web integrated. Yeah. All right, everyone. Well, we appreciate you hanging with us. Any final thoughts, Ken? Anything you want to close with? Next week, obviously, we brought that up. We're going to be talking about, what you can build with Wire. So we'll get a little bit more detailed into the specifics outside of gaming, different types of apps, what's happening in the ecosystem. Maybe we'll invite a bunch of folks from the ecosystem to kind of come join us for a town hall discussion. That might be fun to do. I don't know. Any final thoughts here, Ken, as we close up?
Yeah, just like Dragon Spawn, when I'm talking with partners or investors or anything of that nature, I go through our pitch deck very quickly, and I just start taking them straight to the product. I take them to Dragon Spawn, take them to Meta Academy, take them to R4, R3. And that's been the differentiator for us as Wire, and they finally see like the capability is they get to experience what this next generation of blockchain everything is going to look like, not just gaming, but just applications across the board, and what that functionality is going to allow that's never been able to be produced in blockchain. And so this stream, the next stream, where we actually show what our infrastructure is able to produce, these are the exciting times for me. So happy to be on here.
Nice.
Yes.
Grayson, any final thoughts?
Yeah, no, I'm just saying thanks for having me up here. Really excited to be building with Wire. Couldn't ask for a better blockchain to be using. There is no other better blockchain. So, I'm just excited to start seeing users flow in and just seeing how competitive this ecosystem is going to get.
Nice. Linda's got a question for you, Grayson. She wants to know if you have a girlfriend.
Do you have a girlfriend? Yes, I do have a girlfriend, Linda.
Got him. All right. With that,
wives are forever. Girlfriends are limited time only. So
why do I feel like this
up.
is a dev? This is definitely a developer trolling.
All right, friends. With that, we're gonna send it out. We'll bring the little background music back in, and yeah, it's been a blast, and we'll catch y'all. I don't know, somewhere around the block next week. See ya. Same
Somewhere around the blockchain.
That's right.
Take care.
Same blockchain, same block channel. What is I don't know. Bye, everyone.